Have you ever felt like you're drowning in information?
Oh, yeah.
Like trying to make a decision at work or following a news story, and you're just bombarded with different takes.
Totally.
You're not even sure where to start.
Yeah, it's like everyone's got an opinion.
And they all sound so sure of themselves.
Right.
So how do you cut through the noise?
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
We're not just giving you more opinions.
Right.
We're going deeper.
Much deeper.
We're looking at how we learn to think critically.
It's like a user manual for your brain.
Exactly. How to sort through all that information.
And make sense of it.
This is a deep dive into critical thinking itself.
The journey of how it develops.
And we've got some great sources to guide us.
We do. Starting with Deanna Kuhn.
She wrote a developmental framework for critical thinking.
And a really insightful paper from 1999 in Educational Researcher.
We're also looking at AI, epistemic cognition, and science education.
Which draws on Kuhn's work as well as Bendixen's.
And to round things out, an integrative approach to personal epistemology.
A guiding model by Bendixen and Rule.
So we've got a team of experts who've really dug into this.
They have.
And our mission today is to break down the key stages, the milestones, the influences on our development.
The things that shape how we think.
Right. And we want you to come away with a clearer picture
Of your own thinking journey.
Exactly. And maybe even have some of those aha moments.
Those moments where it all clicks.
Where you go, oh, that's how my brain works.
Precisely. Because understanding this process, this development, can really give you a new perspective.
It's like gaining a superpower.
In a way, it is.
The power to see through the fog.
To evaluate all those different viewpoints.
And ultimately to become a more confident thinker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To trust your own judgment.
All right, so let's get started.
Shall we?
Deanna Kuhn's model is a great place to start.
It is.
She outlines these 3 distinct stages.
In how we understand knowledge itself.
And the first one is absolutism.
It's where we all begin.
So what does that look like? Can you paint us a picture?
Imagine looking at the world through a very specific lens.
Okay.
A very clear lens, but also a very narrow one.
So you see things sharply, but maybe not the whole picture.
Exactly. And in this stage, knowledge is solid.
Like set in stone.
Yes. Unchanging, absolute.
And where does this knowledge come from?
From authorities. Parents, teachers, textbooks.
The experts, the people we trust.
Right. And if there's a disagreement...
Well, someone must be wrong.
Exactly. One person is right, the other is wrong.
Black and white thinking.
Precisely. No shades of gray.
So where does critical thinking fit in here?
It's about checking things against that known truth.
Against what the authorities say or what seems obviously true.
Right. You're aligning with that external standard.
But does it really encourage you to question things?
Not really. Because if you believe the answer is out there,
you don't need to dig deeper.
No need to question the source itself.
You just need to find the right answer.
And match it up.
And you see this a lot in young kids.
Absolutely. They're trusting, they believe what they're told.
But I think even adults can slip back into this mode.
Oh, definitely. Especially in areas where we haven't really challenged our basic assumptions.
Where we haven't had a reason to question the foundation.
Right. But then what happens?
What happens when those facts start to conflict?
Or when the experts disagree?
You start to realize that maybe things aren't so simple.
And that's often the catalyst.
For the next stage.
Yes. Kuhn calls it multiplism.
Multiplism.
And here, that clear lens we talked about
starts to crack.
It shatters a bit. You're exposed to new perspectives.
Different opinions, different ways of seeing things.
And you realize the experts don't always agree.
So that absolute truth starts to feel a bit shaky.
Less certain. And this can lead to a new belief.
That all opinions are equally valid.
Right. It becomes much more subjective.
Like everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Exactly. And no one can really say who's right or wrong.
It's all relative.
It's like being in a hall of mirrors.
Oh, I like that.
Each reflection is different, but none are more real than the others.
And in this stage, critical thinking can take a back seat.
It can, because if every viewpoint is equally valid...
Why bother trying to judge them?
Or weigh the evidence?
It's like, whatever. It's just your opinion.
Right. And I can see how this could be tempting.
Especially these days.
With so much information coming at us.
From all directions.
It's easier to just throw up your hands.
And say, it's all subjective anyway.
But Kuhn says there's another stage beyond this.
A more mature way of thinking.
And she calls it evaluativism.
Evaluativism.
And this is where things get interesting.
Tell me more.
In this stage, you start to understand something crucial.
What's that?
That While everyone has a right to their opinion?
Not all opinions are created equal.
Precisely. Some opinions are simply better than others.
Why is that?
Because they're based on something more solid.
More than just gut feeling.
Right. More than just personal preference.
So what makes an opinion better?
Stronger reasoning, better evidence, careful evaluation.
It's not just about how strongly you feel about something.
No. It's about the quality of the thinking behind it.
Like you're not just wandering through a hall of mirrors anymore.
You're using a compass and a map.
Okay, I see it. You're navigating with more intention.
You recognize there are different paths, but some are more reliable.
They're more likely to lead you to your destination.
Exactly. And in this stage, you see knowledge differently.
How so?
It's not just passively received from authorities.
Okay.
But it's not just a free-for-all either.
It's somewhere in between.
It's actively constructed.
Through reasoned judgment.
Through careful consideration.
You're weighing the evidence, looking at different perspectives.
Exactly. You're acknowledging the human role in knowledge creation.
Our interpretations, our biases, our frameworks.
You're also recognizing the power of reasoned debate.
Of using logic and evidence to arrive at a more justified understanding.
It's about finding that balance
between the subjective and the objective.
Between personal experience and shared knowledge.
So we've got this progression.
From absolute truth to subjective opinion.
And then to this more nuanced evaluative approach.
Where you're actively constructing knowledge.
But what drives this journey?
What pushes us from one stage to the next?
Kuhn points to this concept of meta-knowing.
And it's a really powerful idea.
So what is meta-knowing?
Simply put, it's thinking about thinking.
Like becoming aware of how your own mind works.
Exactly. It's reflecting on what you know and how you know it.
So it's not just about the content of your knowledge.
It's about understanding the process of knowing.
And Kuhn identifies 3 types of meta-knowing.
The first is metacognitive knowing.
Say that again?
Metacognitive knowing.
And this is basically about
understanding your own cognitive processes.
So recognizing what's going on in your own head.
Yes. And what you know and how you learn.
Like being aware of your strengths and weaknesses as a learner.
Exactly. And a crucial step here happens early in childhood.
Really?
Typically between the ages of 3 and 5.
That young.
That's when children realize something really important.
What's that?
That what someone says isn't necessarily true.
It's just their belief.
Exactly. It's their perspective, their interpretation.
Like when a child first understands that someone can be wrong.
Yes. That's a huge breakthrough.
It opens up the possibility of questioning.
Of considering different points of view.
It's a foundation for critical thinking.
Absolutely. Then we have metastrategic knowing.
So we've moved from understanding our own knowing
to managing our cognitive strategies.
What does that involve?
It's about how you approach things.
Learning, problem solving, decision making.
It's about being strategic in your thinking.
Like having a plan of attack.
In a way, yes. You're choosing the right tools for the job.
And the third type of meta-knowing.
This one's particularly relevant to our discussion. It's called epistemological knowing.
Epistemological knowing.
And this is all about your understanding of knowledge itself.
So it ties back to those 3 stages we talked about.
Exactly. Your beliefs about what knowledge is, where it comes from, and how it's justified.
So the more aware you are of your own thinking,
the better equipped you are to evaluate information.
You're not just accepting things at face value.
Or dismissing them as just someone's opinion.
You're engaging with them critically.
And that's where Bendixen's work comes in.
Yeah, right. She takes this a step further.
She really digs into the how.
The how of what?
Of epistemic change.
That journey through the stages Kuhn described. So Kuhn gives us the roadmap.
And Bendixen shows us the engine.
What drives the car forward?
Exactly. Her integrative model provides a more detailed look
at the mechanisms and conditions for this change.
The things that make it happen.
So let's break down Bendixen's model.
Okay. She starts with 3 core mechanisms.
3 things that can trigger a shift in our thinking.
And the first is epistemic doubt.
Doubt.
Doubt is actually a good thing.
How so?
It's that feeling of uncertainty.
That little voice that says, maybe I'm not so sure about this.
Exactly. It can be triggered by new information.
Something that challenges your existing beliefs.
Right. Or it can come from within.
Just reflecting on your own understanding. So it's that cognitive dissonance.
Yes. That mental friction.
Something doesn't quite fit.
And that can be a powerful motivator.
Then we have epistemic volition.
This is the willingness to change.
So doubt is the spark.
And volition is the fuel.
It's the motivation to actually revise your belief.
You take responsibility for shaping your own understanding.
It's like recognizing that being wrong isn't a failure.
It's an opportunity to learn.
And to grow.
Exactly. It takes humility.
And a commitment to truth.
More than just being comfortable with being right.
And the third mechanism is resolution strategies.
This is how we deal with that doubt.
The tools we use to resolve it.
Like critical reflection.
Really thinking through the issue.
Seeking out more information.
And expanding your knowledge base.
And engaging in social interaction.
Talking to others, getting different perspectives. So doubt kicks off the process.
Volition keeps it moving.
And these strategies help us find a new understanding.
Hopefully a more nuanced one.
But what makes this shift more likely to happen?
What are the conditions that make it easier to change our minds?
Bendixen identifies several key factors.
The first is that dissonance we talked about.
That feeling of discomfort when your beliefs are challenged.
It can be a powerful motivator for reevaluating things.
Because no one likes to feel uncomfortable.
Right. We're wired to try and resolve that dissonance.
Then there's personal relevance.
This is huge.
If a topic directly impacts your life,
you're more likely to engage with it.
To really dig in and question your assumptions.
It matters more to you.
But if it's just some abstract idea,
you might not have the same motivation.
It's like, why bother?
Right. And Bendixen also emphasizes the role of metacognition.
That ability to think about your own thinking.
It's like an overseer of your belief.
It helps you monitor the process of change.
And the more you engage in metacognition,
the more aware you are of your biases,
your assumptions, your blind spots.
And the more likely you are to grow intellectually.
It's about becoming a more self-aware thinker.
She also talks about affect.
Our emotions.
How do emotions play into this?
They can influence how we respond to doubt.
If you feel threatened or ashamed,
you might avoid questioning your beliefs.
Even if you have doubts.
It's a self-protective mechanism.
So creating a safe environment is crucial.
Where questioning is encouraged and supported.
Where it's okay to be wrong.
And to change your mind.
And finally, she looks at our environment and cognitive abilities.
These factors also play a role.
Our interactions with peers, teachers, the wider culture.
They can all trigger doubt and expose us to new ways of thinking.
And our cognitive abilities interact with these influences.
It's a complex interplay of nature and nurture.
And then there's this idea of reciprocal causation.
It's a fascinating concept.
So what does it mean?
It means that your understanding of knowledge,
it doesn't just stay inside your head.
It influences the world around you.
And it can affect other people's thinking.
So as you become a more critical thinker,
you might inspire others to do the same.
It's ripple effect.
A multiplier effect for intellectual growth. So we've got these two powerful models.
Kuhn's developmental framework and Bendixen's integrative model.
How can we use them in a practical way?
They offer a roadmap for fostering critical thinking.
Both in ourselves and in others.
Recognizing the stages helps us meet people where they are.
And then we can use Bendixen's insights to guide their development. So it's about encouraging meta-knowing.
That reflection on our own thinking.
Creating space for doubt.
Making it safe to question and challenge.
Presenting intellectual challenges that stretch us.
But not overwhelm us.
Connecting learning to personal interests.
To make it relevant and engaging.
And providing opportunities for discussion and reflection.
To expose us to different viewpoints.
So it's about creating a culture of inquiry.
Whether in the classroom or in our everyday lives.
Where curiosity is valued and humility is embraced.
And remember, critical thinking is a skill.
It needs practice.
Like any muscle, it needs to be exercised.
We also need to be mindful of the emotional aspects.
Questioning deeply held beliefs can be challenging.
It can be unsettling.
So we need to be sensitive to that.
And create a supportive environment. And one of our sources specifically addresses the role of AI.
Which is incredibly relevant today.
AI is everywhere.
And it's shaping how we think.
So how does AI fit into this picture of epistemological development?
It's complex. It can be both a challenge and an opportunity.
In what ways?
Well, AI can expose us to a vast amount of information.
More than we could ever process on our own.
And that can be overwhelming.
But it can also be liberating.
How so?
It can challenge our assumptions.
It can break us out of that absolutist mindset.
By showing us that there isn't always one right answer.
It can push us towards multiplism.
By presenting us with a diversity of opinions.
And even towards evaluativism.
By prompting us to evaluate different claims. So AI can be an intellectual disruptor.
It can shake things up.
It can also personalize learning experiences.
Making them more relevant and engaging.
And some AI tools can even provide feedback on our thinking,
helping us to become more metacognitive.
more aware of our own biases and reasoning processes.
But there are potential downsides, too.
Yes, of course.
AI can't replace human judgment.
Or the importance of social interaction.
We still need teachers, mentors, peers.
To guide us, to challenge us, to support us.
But we also need to be aware of the emotional impact of AI.
If it challenges our beliefs too aggressively.
It can trigger defensiveness.
And shut down the learning process.
So it's about using AI thoughtfully.
With a deep understanding of these developmental stages.
It's a powerful tool, but it's not a magic bullet.
This has been such a rich discussion.
It has.
If we could distill it down to one key takeaway for our listener,
What would it be?
I think it's this. Critical thinking is a journey.
Not a destination.
It's a process of development.
It's about becoming more aware of how you think.
And more intentional about how you evaluate information.
Understanding this journey gives you a powerful tool.
For navigating our complex world. And on that note, here's something to ponder this week.
A challenge for you.
Think about one belief you hold.
Something you haven't really questioned lately.
And try to apply some epistemic doubt to it.
Look for evidence that might challenge your belief.
Consider alternative perspectives.
It's a great way to continue your own development.
And who knows what insights you might discover.
The journey of critical thinking is full of surprises.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep growing.
That's the key.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, keep thinking critically.